Well, hello and welcome back to That Real Estate Show. I'm so glad that you could join us today. My name is Tim, and I will be your host as we dive into all things real estate. The goal of this show is to be educational and insightful, and hopefully, we have a little fun along the way. So, That Real Estate Show is often imitated but never duplicated, and no agents were harmed in the making of this podcast. So, with that, we will go ahead and get into our episode for today. And it's about the old car. And you may say, Tim, what does an old car have to do with real estate? Well, I'm going to explain it to you. So, O.L.D.C.A.R is an acronym that we use that describes the realtor's ethical obligation to their clients. So, we're going to go over that today. So this week, our mortgage definition is loan limit, also known as the loan to value. So we're going to go over that. And then, as we always do at the end, we're going to look at our market data. This week, we are going to look at Portland, 06480, and East Hartford, 06108. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So you may be thinking, again, Tim, what does an old car have to do with real estate? And before I get into it, I wanted just to say I'm wearing my Red Sox gear today in celebration of opening day. Opening day was yesterday, so go Red Sox. I am wearing my number 15 Dustin Pedroia jersey. So hopefully the Red Sox have a good season this year. Spring has finally sprung, so hopefully you guys are all able to get outside and enjoy some of the nice weather that we've been having. Today especially was cold when we woke up this morning, but this weekend's supposed to be pretty nice, I think, at least on Sunday. Tomorrow, I think, is supposed to be chilly as well. But with that, so we will go ahead and we will talk about this old car. So the realtor's ethical obligation to their clients. And this is so important because you may be hesitant to hire a realtor because you don't know, can I trust this person? Because this is the biggest purchase that you'll ever make in your life, right? Buying a house is no small feat, right? And a lot of times it's very stressful. There's a lot of moving parts, and it really is so important to hire a realtor that you can trust. And this is how you know that you can trust your realtor, if they follow the O.L.D.C.A.R acronym. So we're going to get into that right now. So this is my fiduciary duty to you as my client. And you may say, well, what's a fiduciary duty? I don't understand what that means. So in real estate, the fiduciary duty means that your realtor is required to put your needs first, which instills trust and provides protection during the transaction. Fiduciary duties protect you from conflicts of interest and hidden incentives, which leads to faster closings and higher satisfaction. So again, it's so important because your realtor should be doing what's best for you, not what's best for them. And I'm not saying that there are realtors out there that do that, but if your realtor is maybe pushing you really hard to buy a very specific house, you may want to question why. What's the motivation behind that? Is it just so they can get a sale, so they can get a commission check? Or is it because they really feel like that's the right house for you? O.L.D.C.A.R stands for these 6 terms. Obedience. The O stands for obedience. Now, this does not mean that your realtor has to do everything that you say. Obviously, we have to follow laws. So if you're asking your realtor to do something illegal, don't count on it. If the realtor values their license and doesn't want to get in trouble, then they won't be doing those illegal things. But obedience does mean following all lawful instructions of the client. When it comes down to showing homes, my responsibility is to show you the house that you're interested in. Now, obviously, we want to make sure that that house is within your price range. So that's why getting that pre-approval up front is so vitally important. I know I've said it a whole bunch of times, and I'll say it a whole bunch of times more. Knowing your buying power up front helps us not to, lack of a better word, waste each other's time by going to see houses that you don't qualify for, right? So because that just builds up expectations and hopes that you could get a certain house, and just to find out if you can't qualify for it, then that's just going to lead to disappointment, and then you might blame me. So we are going to go ahead and look at the houses that are within your price range, regardless of the commission that is offered or what kind of split there might be, or because again, that's negotiable as well. I think we've talked about that before when we talked about the buyer representation agreement. That's something that you and I are going to negotiate before we even step foot in a single house. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about how that commission or compensation gets paid out. But obedience does mean that I have to follow all your lawful instructions. The L stands for loyalty, acting in the client's best interest above all others, including the agent. The goal is to get you into a house, right? The goal is so that you can buy that first house or the house of your dreams, your forever home, whatever it may be, investment property, doesn't matter. The goal is to get you to the closing table so that you can make that purchase. And loyalty means acting in your best interest, regardless of how that really affects me or how that affects other people. The D in O.L.D.C.A.R is disclosure, revealing all material facts that could affect the transaction, such as property conditions. So as a listing agent, that's vitally important, because if you know something is materially wrong with the home, you have to disclose that. And if the seller says, well, I don't want you to tell them that, well, that goes back to obedience. I have to, because that is the law. We have to disclose any known defects with the house. So when you're filling out your property condition disclosure, if you want to leave something out, that's on you. But if I know it, I have to disclose that to the other agent and to any potential buyers. Now, the C in O.L.D.C.A.R is confidentiality, means I have to protect your sensitive information, which means I'm not going to share with anybody else what, like if you're the seller, what your price, what your lowest price that you'll accept for the house is, your motivation for selling, the terms that you are looking for, unless you give me permission. So again, that goes back to obedience. I'm going to do what you say. So if you are selling your home and you want to keep that information close to the vest, you don't want people to know why you're moving, or what your lowest price may be, or that you're willing to negotiate, I have to honor that, and I will keep that information confidential unless you give me permission otherwise. The A in O.L.D.C.A.R is accounting, properly managing all documents, funds, and property entrusted to the agent. So that means, when if you put down your earnest money deposit, that gets handled correctly, that goes to the correct individual and gets put in the correct escrow account. So if you're the seller, we have any buyer who puts down their earnest money deposit have to have that money has to be put into a very specific account that's used for a specific reason. So you can't commingle your finances and things like that. And so that if ever you needed to ask, hey, I need proof that check was deposited, that we can get that for you, with no difficulty. And then the R in O.L.D.C.A.R is reasonable care, using skill and expertise to protect the client. So again, that is my area of expertise is in real estate, right? So I'm going to give you my very best advice when it comes to selling your home or buying a new home. I'm going to give you that information that I feel is of most value to you. So whether that's how much to offer, how we can make your offer more appealing to the seller, or from the seller's perspective, what we should be listing for. You don't want to overprice your house, right? When you list it, obviously, people have sentimental attachments to their homes, and sometimes they let those emotions and those feelings dictate how much they feel like their home is worth. And that's, part of my job is to give you that care and diligence and say, I love your house and I know you loved your house too, but the buyer's not going to have that same attachment to it as you do. So we really need to price it appropriately. And that's why we do the CMA. I know we've talked about it a bunch of times, that comparative market analysis, that helps us price the home competitively in the current market, whatever that is, whether it's a buyer's market or a seller's market or whatever, so that you can get the most number of people coming to see the house and hopefully multiple offers, right? That would be the goal if you're the sellers, to receive multiple offers. And if you're on the buy side, we do that comparative market analysis for you so that you know what a competitive price would be to offer. And then again, it's not always the highest price that wins. A lot of times they say cash is king, and that's not always true. A cash buyer may have an advantage, but there also are advantages when you make an offer, a traditional offer, when you're getting financing, that makes your offer stand out over the others. And that could be the amount of down payment. That could be how quickly you are able to close. That could be other contingencies such as waiving inspections. That is completely up to you. Of course, I would caution you always, get a home inspection. But especially in today's market, we've seen time and time again, a lot of people are waiving that contingency, or even waiving the mortgage contingency. That's a possibility as well. So what that would mean is that when the lender does the appraisal, if the house does not appraise high enough, by waiving that mortgage contingency, you're saying, I will cover whatever gap there is so that we can still close. So for example, if you're looking at a house that's listed for 300,000, or let's just say you offered full price and you're offering 300,000, but the appraisal comes back at 295, so it's under what you're offering. By waiving that mortgage contingency, you're saying, well, I'll cover that $5,000 in cash at closing so that we can continue. So that's what O.L.D.C.A.R stands for: obedience, loyalty, disclosure, confidentiality, accounting, and reasonable care. And these are the bedrocks that we use as realtors, as agents for you, to give you the best possible service that we can provide. So hopefully you found that a little bit interesting and a little bit helpful, that it maybe puts your mind at ease a little bit, that the person that you're working with really should be working for you. They are your employee, in a matter of speaking, because you're paying them, at closing. You are going to pay them some compensation for showing you houses, for writing offers, for negotiating, for being with you at the home inspection, all those things. And in my case, I always like to try to be at the closing. I think I mentioned once before, I was only one closing I've ever missed, and that was just because I had two closings scheduled the same day, and they were on opposite ends of the state, so I couldn't be in two places at once. And here is our mortgage terminology. Loan limit is the maximum amount a lender will loan you. The lender will allow you to borrow a certain amount of money based on your income, creditworthiness, and debt to income ratio. That also is referred to as loan to value. Most mortgages, when you're applying for them, they're only going to loan you 80% of that loan to value. So what that means is, let's just say, for easy math's sake, if the house is worth $100,000, they're only going to loan you $80,000, because that's 80% of the loan to value. So the value is $100,000. So the loan is going to be 80% of that. So that's what the loan limit is, or your loan to value. And now let's go ahead and look at our local market research report for March. So this is Portland, 06480. You can see there that there are 5 current active listings, which is up 66% from February. And there have been no new listings in the last 5 days. The median days on market, which once again, as I always explain, is that middle number. So between 1 and 10, that middle number is 5. So the median number of days on market is 62, and that is coming down. I know we talked about it before. So in the fall, usually you'll see real estate sales starting to fall off a little bit, just because school is starting again, people's they get ready for the holidays, things like that. But then in January, February, March, you start to see that pick up, because now people are starting to look again at purchasing a home. So that number is coming down from February, and that median price is also coming down. You see that's 12% drop from February. Now the median list price in Portland is $539,900. So if you live in Portland, if you've been thinking about buying a home, or selling a home rather, give me a call, shoot me a text message. My information's there scrolling across the bottom of the screen. I'll be happy to do a free, there's no cost or obligation to you, comparative market analysis, like we just talked about, so that you know when you're ready how much your house could potentially sell for when we put it on the market. And then if you're looking to buy, there are 5 homes looking for new owners right now. So give me a call, shoot me a text. We can set up a showing for you, and I can always connect you with a lender. So if you haven't done that yet, we can certainly get that hooked up for you as well, and hopefully get you into a new home. And also our market report for March for East Hartford. Now, there actually are 2 different zip codes for East Hartford. I chose 06108. It's near, I think, some of the parks. So you can see there are 8 active listings, which is down 20%. There is 1 new listing as of the last 5 days, and that median days on market is down only to 19. So East Hartford seems like it's a pretty hot area. If the median days on market is only 19, that means houses are being offered on pretty quickly, and they are going to closing. So that would be an area, if you are interested in, that you would want to act quickly on, so that you don't miss out. And you can see there the median list price is up 12% from February to 302,450. So, and you will see this, prices go up and down as the seasons change and markets fluctuate. So prices are going up a little bit because now spring is here. More people are out, more buyers are out, and there are fewer active listings, which could also be impacting that amount. So if you're interested, let me know. Text me, call me, shoot me an email. We can do that comparative market analysis. We can get your home listed, and we can get it under contract in less than 30 days. You see that? So finally, before we go, this is just a little thing I had on my phone. I had found it online, and I thought this was appropriate. If you're waiting for a sign, this is it. So this is your sign. If you're looking to get into the market and you've just been so hesitant, you're just not sure where to begin, please give me a call. I love working with first-time home buyers. I'm not judgmental. I will answer every question that you have. There's no such thing as a stupid question. I can walk you through every step, hold your hand, and you will not be alone in this process. There are some agents that are like that. They are more hands-off. They let the clients kind of fend for themselves a little bit, find their own listings that they want to see. I'm not like that. I try to be relational in the way I do my business. I'm not transactional. So this is not just about a closing for me. This is not just about, receiving that compensation check. This is about building a relationship. So hopefully down the road, once you've purchased your first house with me, maybe in a few years, maybe once you have that first or second child and you need a bigger house, or maybe you're an older couple and you're ready to retire and move out of state, I want to be that person that you call because you've already built a relationship with me as your realtor, not just somebody you happen to pick out of the phone book or just saw online and just did one transaction with and then completely forgot about. So this is your sign to jump into the market. The weather is getting nicer. It's just going to keep getting nicer. And, I was just talking to one of the fellow agents in the office. I had a Teams meeting with him this morning, and he's seeing a lot more listings come on the market. So if just because in the areas that I chose, there aren't necessarily more listings, doesn't mean there aren't more listings in general. If you're looking in a different area, if you want me to give you market data for a different zip code, I can certainly do that. I can sell houses all throughout Connecticut. I'm not limited to just a certain area, although typically most agents will stick to a certain county just because of drive times and being able to make all your obligations and meet all your clients in a given day. But we can go anywhere you want. So, based on your budget, based on what location you're interested in, I can give you that market data. We can see what houses are available, or if you have a house that you would like to sell, I can list it for you too. It does not matter if it happens to be where I live or where my office is located. I can list a house anywhere in Connecticut. So just be encouraged. If you are in the market or thinking about getting in the market, whether it's to buy or sell, now is definitely the time. So we are just about to April. Easter is right around the corner, and the market's just going to continue to heat up as we get into those warmer summer months. So let me know if you have a question, If there's something that someone told you that you're just not sure if that's true, or if you want to get a second opinion, I'm happy to help. I'm happy to help in any way that I can. Definitely, if you have a house that maybe needs some repair and you're not sure who to call, I can give you some recommendations for contractors. I have those. I have referrals for home inspectors, for closing attorneys. If you have a legal question that you need answered, before you list your house or before you think about buying a home, I can answer or I can refer you to someone who can answer those for you. So, as always, don't forget to check out our sponsor, O.L.D.C.A.R. Go to their website, w.gg. You see that scrolling across the bottom. If you use that real estate show with the exclamation point to place your order, you get 10% off. So, if you're not familiar with it, W is a powdered energy drink. So if you're a gamer, if you're someone who stays up late, someone who maybe drinks a lot of coffee, but you don't like the jitters that you get, or the crash, that 2 o'clock crash that you get in the afternoon, I recommend it. I actually drink it myself. I find it's really good. It tastes really good. There's no sugar added to it, but it is a energy drink, or very similar to Monster or Red Bull. I recommend it. Try out Dubby. They get 30-day supply in a tub, and see how you like it. It'll give you that energy, that caffeine boost that you normally get from either coffee or from those energy drinks, but without the jitters and without the crash. So that is all the time I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for checking us out on Spotify, on YouTube, on Rumble, everywhere on social media. I really appreciate it. If you have a question or comment, you can comment right below the video. Send this to your friends. Please don't forget to like and share, and I will see you next time.